Pollination is the process of attaching male cells to female cells in plants. Pollination occurs before fertilization occurs in flowering plants. Taken from the book Sexual Plant Reproduction, 1992, by M. Krusty, pollination is the dropping of pollen on the surface of the stigma pistil. The success of pollination will be followed by the growth of powder reeds that enter the pistil to the ovule. In the ovule, the fertilization process will occur. Pollination only occurs when pollen grains reach or attach to the stigma or stigma. Pollination is different from fertilization. In pollination, there is a fusion of male gametes and female gametes. There are two kinds of pollination that occur, namely, self-pollinating, the process of pollinating the pistil by the pollen that comes from the flower itself. It can also be from other flowers in the same plant. Examples of self-pollinating plants are wheat, rice, soybeans, and others. Cross-pollination, attachment of pollen from a flower to the stigma of another flower that is in other similar plants. Cross-pollination occurs only in members of the same species. For example, cross a zucchini plant with a pumpkin because they come from the same species. The cross between a cucumber and a zucchini cannot be due to separate species even in the same family. The impact of cross-pollination is the number of species from the resulting seed production and is stronger than the previous derivatives. Even though fertilization from a different type of flower will not affect the crop yield. In contrast to the maize plant, usually the corn grains still produce the results of the two plants that make a cross. Origin of pollen. Self-pollination, transfer of pollen from the anthers to the stigma, occurs in the flower itself or between different flowers but within one plant. This pollination will produce the same yield as the flower. Plants that are self-pollinating are called self-pollinating or independent plants. Usually, pollination occurs when the flowers have not yet bloomed or in a closed condition, which is called closed pollination, closed pollination. Neighboring pollination, diatomy. Pollination of flowers that have bloomed freely by pollen from various flowers. Mating through open pollination is known as cosmogamy. Open pollination occurs when the pistil and pollen ripen after the flowers have bloomed at the same time. This neighbor pollination is included in cross-pollination. Broadcast pollination. Pollination that occurs when the pollen that falls on the stigma comes from flowers in other plants of different types. For example, pollen from guava with red flesh falls on the pistil of guava with white flesh. Some types of plants cannot do this independently for several reasons, including dioecious. Male and female genitalia are found in different individuals, such as melango and barking plants. Digigamy. The pistil and pollen of a ripe flower are not together. If the pollen of a flower ripens before the pistil, it is called protandry. For example, cornflowers, celery, and onions. On the other hand, the pistil of a flower that ripens before pollen is called protogeny, for example, chocolate and avocado. Persogamy. Pollen from flowers cannot fall on the stigma without the help of humans or animals, like orchids and vanilla. Heterostyle. Flowers that have stamens and pistils are not the same length. For example, coffee, plate glass, and quinine.